So one of my favorite games from last year was Pizza Tower, and that game taught me just how fun it could be just running 500 miles per hour at your enemies. So I decided to add a similar mechanic in this game for one of my weapons. In case you don't know, I am working on a game where the whole gimmick is each weapon has a sort of movement mechanic attached to it, and it's a Metroidvania boomer shooter where each weapon you get unlocks new movement and abilities for you to explore the world. In this case, I was working on the arm cannon. Previously, it was more of like an assault rifle or like just like a fully automatic weapon, and I didn't really like it, honestly. It was neat and it felt powerful, but it just didn't really have the same utility that the revolver or the shotgun did. So I decided to rework it a little bit this week, where I would design it specifically around this sort of purpose. So when I was designing the weapon, I also designed an enemy that would act as a sort of counter to the arm cannon's movement mechanic. When you rush into this particular enemy, this enemy has a shield that she can raise up, and it causes you to break your run cycle and take some knockback, but it also breaks her shield. In this case, you can run forward and then whip out your shotgun and then kill her pretty quickly. And I decided to just make the primary fire also the job of breaking shields. So when you charge up a shot now, you go stationary for a little bit, it leaves you a little vulnerable, but you release a really powerful bolt that can insta-kill a lot of enemies and break any shields on any enemies. So for the platforming utility that the autocannon brings, it has two main functions. The first function is that the rush ability, if you collide with a wall or a surface, it'll give you a higher jump if you jump into that punch. It's kind of hard to describe unless you're actually playing it, but if you jump into the wall right as you're about to hit it, then you get a nice boost. You get a nice jump off of that. And if you combine it with a shotgun, you get an even higher jump. And I put a few sections in the forest level where you can really play with this. So I'm really starting to like that I'm already noticing some natural combos that work together when it comes to movement mechanics. You can punch a wall and get a nice jump off of it, then pair that with your shotgun, and that gives you a really nice jump. And I think that's good to give the player those abilities, because I just think of my favorite 3D platformers and think of when I solved a certain challenge in a way that maybe even the developer didn't expect. And I just think giving those tools to the player is so liberating and fun, because it just strikes a sort of creativity that you don't really get to express in a lot of games. So the second bit of movement utility that the arm cannon has is the ability to run on water. When you use the rush ability over a body of water, you will run across it. And this is going to be necessary for certain progression routes. For example, I have a prison area which I'm working on that has a ton of water in it, and this forest area which also has a ton of water. The forest area has a big giant river that flows all the way down from heaven into purgatory, which is going to be the first way the player can introduce themselves into purgatory. So getting the arm cannon is going to be pretty crucial for them. So I'm thinking of theming the boss for this level around water and something with a shield. And immediately the first thing that came to mind was a turtle. So maybe I'll make a big turtle boss. Who knows? But turtle doesn't really scream angelic or heavenly, so I guess I'll have to do some research, or I don't know. It's my world. I can do whatever I want with it. Maybe I'll see. So this week I was also doing a lot of level design stuff and just decorating mostly the city and the forest level. In the city level, I modified the end district to have like a bottomless pit, so it kind of forces you to play a lot more vertical. You have to do a lot more swinging on hooks and jumping around and just balancing on certain platforms. and I added a nice a bottomless shader to go with it, and I think it's really pretty. I overhauled the grass in the forest level. I made a new shader, which is like a geometry shader, and I got some help from the YouTuber Daniel Illit. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but I followed his tutorial as an example, and for some reason I just could not get the geometry to show up no matter what. I ended up scouring the internet to find some ancient web forum which showed me why, and I ended up combining 3 different tutorials to kind of get the effect I wanted. It took so long for me to figure out how to render the outline onto it as well, but here's the final look, and I'm pretty happy with how it looks. I do think I need to make it look a little more organic, like add some more triangles to it. Right now there's just a single triangle, so the grass looks a little bit too pointy, a little bit too geometric. So I'm probably gonna work to make that look a little bit more natural. But yeah, let me know what you think about that. Let me know if you think the grass should be a little bit more detailed. So yeah, I also did a lot of decorating and adding in some new areas to the forest area and the city level. And I added some sections where you can platform on. I added some new enemy placements, and I scattered some locations for secrets around as well. I think the first 3 levels are shaping up to be pretty nice, and after that I'm gonna focus on the sewer level a little bit, and then I think I'll have all of the levels for heaven so far. And I want to focus on getting a nice polished demo out, which focuses on the first act of the game, and I think if I finish most of heaven I can finish that. As for the stuff that I'm going to work on next week, I think I'm going to focus on working on fleshing out some of the story, and because I really haven't done much of that yet. So I think I'm going to look into doing cutscenes and working on some dialogue, and maybe working on some plot characters or NPCs. I think once I get some NPCs into the game, that's when the progression of the game is going to start to really solidify and have a foundation to stand on. And I will start working on the hub world and just like the branching areas after that, and just really focus on building this world. I would like to thank everybody who watched my last video and gave me very nice comments. It made me feel very happy with what I'm doing, and I always like to hear what people think about my game. So please let me know what you think. If you like what I do, please like the video. I would love if you subscribed. But yeah, I look forward to seeing you again in the next devlog. Thank you so much for listening to me.